Well, listeners, we've got some more new music on the show right now. Idle Throne are about to drop a brand new album called A Clarion Call, which comes out on May 31st, and we thought, let's get to know this band a little bit more, let's get to know this music a little bit more. So we actually have one of the members of the band on the phone right now to chat a little bit about this amazing new album. Welcome to the program, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave.
So, Jason, this might be the first time some of our listeners actually get to hear Idle Throne. So I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a little bit about the band. I know that you guys are from Northwest Indiana, but tell us a little bit about how long you guys have been playing and how you got together in the first place.
Yeah, sure. We're from Indiana in the U.S., a little bit outside of Chicago, so that's kind of our closest city. Just kind of a band made up of a bunch of friends. We're like the remnants of all the people in high school that stayed with their instrument and kept playing.
Yep.
We all played in just local bands around the Chicagoland area and found ourselves in a position about 2018 where none of us really had anything going on, but we all missed playing. We really wanted to get back into something. So myself and the other guitarist, Martin Bowman, my other kind of co-lead guitarist, founded the band in late 2018 just as a means to kind of jam and get some songs together and hopefully play live. And we did that, and then right as we got a lineup solidified, that's when COVID hit. And we lost about a year, as did every other band in the world, of playing. So we kind of used that time to put together our first record, which came out in 2022. It was called The Sibylline Age, which we also released on our label Stormspell Records. And the idea was just to kind of like write some music that really harkened back to the music that got us into playing in the first place. So that's a lot of kind of 80s metal, Bay Area thrash metal, kind of bands like Metallica, Testament, Heathen, Exodus, those sorts of bands, but then kind of mix it with some of the melodic sensibilities of a lot of the U.S. power metal bands and some of the more guitar forward Shrapnel Records bands from the sunny California heyday in the 80s. That was a lot of the stuff that we kind of listened to when we were getting into guitar in our formative years, which would be, 20 years ago now, which is crazy to think, feeling old with that one. But just found we had really good chemistry. So it's really easy for Martin and I to put songs together, it seems, and it seems like people have been enjoying them. So it's great to make it to album 2.
Yeah, definitely. You actually touched a little bit on what my next question was going to be there. I was going to ask, how did your journey into heavy music start? Did you always have heavy music around in your life, or was that a journey that you kind of undertook in your high school years?
Yeah, it was definitely high school. I actually recall pretty distinctly, I had a friend that lived on the same block as I did growing up, and he was like kind of the heavy metal friend. I remember when we were kids palling around the neighborhood, he would be in his garage with his pointy headstock Jackson guitar and his amp, and he'd be playing along to like Megadeth records and stuff. And that was before I had really even gotten into music. I listened to my parents' music certainly, but I hadn't really dove into what would become like my own music and kind of heavy metal or guitar. But I just thought the guitar looked so cool. I remember being drawn to just like the look of it first, and then love the sense of aggression that came through in the music, but then at the same time too, I kind of innately was drawn to just the musicality of it and some of the stuff, hearing like, technical riffs and like epic moments and songs, just things that really kind of drew me in. So I was hooked, like, I think from hanging with him, I think that was probably summer of 2004 or so. And I remember for that Christmas, I asked for a guitar for my folks, because I was still a kid at that point, more or less. I was like 13. And I got the guitar and then immediately just kind of dove into teaching myself and learning, and just found that I kind of had a penchant for it, and picked it up really quickly. Meeting him, his name was Kevin, meeting him kind of set me on a whole journey of just getting into music and guitar and metal. And I always tell folks it just like kind of flipped the light switch for me. It was like me before, skateboarder kid, or tried to be, and never very good at it. And then after was, heavy metal guy, and here I am 20 years later, and not much has changed in that front. So I'm sure Martin and a lot of the other guys in the band probably have similar stories, but we all had like a moment where we came to it, and I feel like it's the same with a lot of metalheads and people in bands and stuff.
Yeah, listening to the new album, like you can definitely hear that old school sound there, but there's also something different in there. How has your band sound evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think that initially, that kind of mission statement we talked about a few minutes ago, that was kind of what drove us to put the first songs together and like the first record together, what became the first record. But I think as time went on, we've kind of realized that like we have different influences that we wanted to explore and wanted to bring in. We're big fans of like progressive rock and progressive metal as well. My previous band and Martin's previous band were both progressive metal and rock bands. So when we formed this, we knew that we didn't want to, at least initially, like break into the 20-minute long Dream Theater songs or like the, really out there instrumental excursions that some of those bands do. But we certainly are influenced by that. And I think on this one, we wanted to bring a little bit of that in, like on the title track, A Clarion Call, there's lots of keyboards, and Martin also plays keyboards, so there's lots of cool like Hammond organ parts, and we're doing lots of vocal harmonies where our singer Jake is doing the melody, and then Martin and I are doing harmonies and layering that, and just trying to maintain the sense of melody while also having that aggression. Like so that's a big kind of balance point for us is still have it be heavy and intense, but also never lose sight of that, where there's a good melody you can kind of remember, or a good chorus, or, those kind of songy elements that I think the majority of listeners are going to really grab onto. We try to maintain that while also throwing in those little twists and turns that make it fun to play, especially live. So yeah, I think on this one, we really have kind of developed more in that direction, while still maintaining a lot of those influences that got us through the first kind of cycle. And I think, working with the band and working with the guys, like we're all friends, all five of us, and that helps a lot. But I think we also, going into the writing for this record, kind of knew each other's strengths a little bit better too, so that helps the process because I think we're more in tune with each other 6 years in now.
Definitely. When you were having those discussions about what you wanted from this album, what kind of things were you talking about when it came to themes and things like that as well?
Yeah, I think, that comes into play a lot. Like when you talk like thematic stuff or conceptual stuff for the record, like I'm a big fan of like conceptual progressive music, and like I love really strong concept records. Like, I could point to Symphony X, which is a huge influence for us. They're kind of another kind of power progressive band from the US. They put out a concept record called V, and it's, kind of like a whole hour-long concept, and they expand on a bunch of motifs and themes, and, it's a story from beginning to end. So we haven't quite gotten to the point where we've bit off that yet, where we're doing a full-on concept, but we kind of treat each song like its own little mini concept or mini story. Most of our lyrics and most of the things we kind of delve into are still kind of in that, I guess, fantasy realm. Not so much the swords and sorcery thing. I guess there's elements of that, but, we haven't really done any like super personal topics, I guess you could say, but it kind of helps as a good organizing force. It's like, for me, we knew what the album was going to be called, and then I worked with our artist Mark Erskine, who also did the cover art for the Sibylline Age, and I thought, he just came up with this amazing and just beautiful piece that is the cover of Clarion Call, and from there that kind of helped steer us when we kind of finished up the lyrics as well, and just kind of try to make it epic and try to make it big, and try to have multiple layers to it, so it's just not a surface level kind of lyric that the listener can kind of draw whatever they want from it, when they listen to it.
Yeah. Did you find putting this album together a little bit easier because we weren't in a pandemic? Like, how did that change your songwriting and your recording process?
Yeah, like the writing process for us is it's always been relatively easy, just because myself and Martin, we got a great musical partnership, but we're also really prolific riff writers. So like I've got kind of a process of my own where I, will develop ideas and themes and riffs and chord progressions and whatever, and then we'll have what we call a guitar day where Martin will come over to my house or I'll go over to his place, and we both live fairly close to one another, about half an hour away from each other in Northwest Indiana here, so it's really easy to kind of develop those ideas, and then he'll write out the musical notation and the tablature and all that, and that kind of helps us arrange the song. So we're able to do that, and then when we kind of have a good sketch of what we want the song to be or what we think we want the song to be, then we'll bring it into the practice space and jam space, and then work with our drummer Aaron to kind of arrange it, and then just kind of keep building the song from there, building different layers. So that's a great process. I think it's really helpful in being efficient with our time, because everyone is a pro with it, when it comes to kind of learning parts or knowing what they want to play and kind of having it ready for rehearsals and things like that. But I don't know, it really helps. I call it like building the house, from seeing it from the base level there of a chord progression or a riff, and then adding in all these additional things, the key parts and harmonies and other vocals and those things. So that's been really helpful this go around. And I think we kind of knew, there was certain things like coming off of the first record, like we had a longer piece on the first record, this title track of that album called The Sibylline. It's about 12 minutes long. We knew we kind of wanted to purposely avoid that on this record. I think the longest track is King Among Jackals. It's about 8.5 minutes long. And we didn't want to shoehorn a bigger piece onto the record. We kind of wanted it to be a little bit of a shorter album. I think the previous one was a little over an hour. It was like an hour and a minute or an hour and 2 minutes, something like that. So it was kind of keeping the tracks right around that 5-minute mark as much as possible, and really kind of structuring it in a way where it flowed and had this nice kind of classic album, like metal album feel, like you listen to like a Master of Puppets or something, and it's usually figure 8 tracks, right? 7, 8, 9 tracks. You have a really strong first side. You flip over the vinyl, and I'm doing air quotes right now because obviously vinyl's a thing again, but you flip over the vinyl, and then you're on your side 2, and it's also just as strong, right? And kind of makes for a journey and a ride. So that was kind of what we were thinking of when we were structuring the record, and we're very much album people, so I think we intend for it to be listened to kind of in that format and put a lot of thought into the sequencing of it.
Definitely. Well, the release of Covenant of the Immortal and The Last Voyage saw your Spotify listenership jump up. Does that kind of make you feel more at ease with the album coming out? Like, are you less nervous because people out there seem to be embracing the 2 singles that have come out so far?
Yeah, big time. I mean, that's the thing with any band, and especially like a band at our level where we're just doing our best to get the music out there and to get it heard. I think it's really important to try to find those opportunities to really talk about it and to get it out to those listeners, because we know that listeners exist out there in the metal sphere, the music sphere, that are going to enjoy kind of what we're trying to do and enjoy the sound, but it's getting to those folks. I felt like with Sibylline, we were all very proud of how that record turned out, but I think there's a lot of folks that otherwise would have been big fans of ours and would have enjoyed what we were doing, but just because of the saturation, in the scene and how much music, and great music for that matter, is out there, that a lot of folks that otherwise would have enjoyed us just didn't know we existed.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool to kind of see as that cycle kind of came to an end. We had some great opportunities to play shows in the U.S., just kind of in our area, the Midwest of the country, kind of middle of the country, play some fests, play some great shows, continue to, just kind of talk about our music and what we're trying to do. I think we've seen that kind of steadily rise, and it seems like the first 2 singles thus far have been received really, really well. I think people are really enjoying it. They're kind of enjoying where we've taken the sound, and I think we've still been true to kind of what our vision is for the band. So it's really exciting kind of leading into the release, and I hope that people that listen to it really enjoy it. I hope that some outlets pick up on it, and that just gives us the opportunity to continue doing it, because really for me, like, making the music is really the end. I guess that's why we do it, because we enjoy writing songs, but I love just the opportunity to travel and play the music for new people and, get the opportunity to kind of do that and to get outside our own backyard. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for from the release, and subsequent releases. But I think things bode well so far. Yeah, it's been really good response. So we're really appreciative of it.
Definitely. So A Clarion Call comes out on May 31st for all our listeners out there. But, mate, what's your plans after the album comes out? Are you guys hoping to get out there and do some shows? Are you hoping to maybe even go internationally this time? What's the plans after the album comes out?
Yeah, I think for us right now, it's just to kind of see what the response is. I know for a fact, like we're doing a album release kind of in our neck of the woods on the day the album comes out, May 31st, so kind of in the Chicagoland area. After that, we're going to take about a month break while the record kind of comes out in June. And then pretty much through August into the end of the year, we've got quite a few shows lined up. We're playing Chicago in August with our friends in the band Savage Master and also Haunt. So that'll be fun, kind of downtown Chicago show at the Cobra Lounge. We've got a few other shows lined up that are also kind of local, and then we're even in talks to potentially do some stuff on the west coast of the U.S., so that'll get us out there for the first time, kind of on more of a national basis than we've been doing. And then, hey, who knows what the future holds? I mean, I've got plenty of fests that I keep my eye on in Europe and even in, other parts of North America, Canada, Mexico, that I think would be awesome to play. I think could get the music out to even bigger audience. So we're just keeping our eyes and ears open, and if the opportunity comes our way, we're there. So hopefully the future's bright.
Awesome. Well, mate, we are going to play a track off the album right now on our show. So to finish off, what would you like to say to all of our listeners out there, not only before they listen to this track, but before they go out and grab a copy of A Clarion Call on May 31st?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for checking it out. Thanks for the support. Please find us on all the social media accounts and keep up with us. We're on Bandcamp, Instagram, Facebook. We love hearing from fans and, meet new people, even if it's digitally. So we definitely like to hear what you think about the record. And hopefully we'll get the opportunity to play your neck of the woods soon.